As far as weight loss goes, the biggest thing that we need to think about is controlling our insulin level. And insulin is probably the biggest, the most important hormone as far as metabolism goes. What really controls our body weights is, or really anything we do, is our hormones. So if we can keep our insulin levels in a normal range, what we find is that we don't gain weight. And this happens in clinical studies. They actually do studies with rats, which is kind of a gold standard for, depending on the strain of rats, for diet studies, because they have very similar digestive systems as humans. And it does depend on like which kind of rat it is and all that stuff. But mice. What you find is that if you disable the pancreas from being able to create insulin in a mouse, they can't gain weight no matter how much food they eat. They can eat all day long as much as they want to. The other mice can eat half as much and gain way more weight than these mice will. So insulin is kind of a storage hormone. Its major job is to get sugar out of your blood. If you get too much sugar in your blood, it can become toxic. So insulin is released by the pancreas to lower blood sugar. It sends that sugar either into the muscle cells to be used, or it sends it into the fat cells as fat to be stored in the adipose tissue. So what we need to do is try to keep our insulin levels in the range that they're supposed to be in. And we do that by keeping sugar low in our diets. So I'm going to show you another video from Fathead about this. He does a really good job of sort of showing how this works in easy terms. So I'm just going to let him explain it.
Most of us think we only put fat in our fat cells when we eat too much. But as Gary Taubes explains in Good Calories, Bad Calories, your fat cells are like rechargeable fuel cells. Every time you eat, you store some fat. In between meals, fat comes out of your fat cells to provide the fuel for your muscles and organs. If you're naturally thin, it's because you have efficient fat cells. Fat goes in quickly and it comes out easily. Your body doesn't need much fat because the little bit of fat you do have is a reliable source of fuel. If you're predisposed to be fat, it's because you have greedy fat cells. When you eat, you tend to store calories as fat instead of burning them. And when your other tissues need those calories, the fat comes out slowly if it comes out at all.
What are they doing? Did one of you guys forget to pay the food bill? Are you going to eat all that?
The end user of food that we eat are our individual cells. And it doesn't matter if it goes in our mouth. If it doesn't get to those cells, we starve. We starve at the cellular level.
And so you do exactly what your body is telling you to do.
Come on, eat something. A steak, will ya?
You eat more. In other words, you're not getting fat because you're eating more. You're eating more because you're getting fat. Most of us weren't born with greedy fat cells, but we can certainly make them that way. When you eat too many carbohydrates, you raise your blood sugar. Since high blood sugar is toxic, your body releases insulin to bring it down. But your body can only burn a little bit of sugar at a time. So what happens to the rest of it?
Your storage sites for carbohydrate are limited, and we've got unlimited storage places for fat, so the body ends up just converting the carbohydrate to fat.
And after bringing down your blood sugar, insulin does its other job. It tells your body to store fat. When you have a healthy metabolism, it only takes a little bit of insulin to bring your blood sugar down, and then everything goes back to normal. But over time, that can change.
Cells can become resistant to the effects of insulin. In essence, when that happens, insulin's talking, but the cells just aren't listening. And so they don't get the message from insulin, so they don't do what they're supposed to do.
Hello? Stop hitting me. I'm not hitting you. Stop hitting me. I'm not hitting you.
And so your body does what it has to do. It starts producing more insulin.
You finally reach the point to where your insulin's high just to keep your sugar normal, even if you're not eating any sugar. And then when that happens, then it's starting to drive stuff into the fat cell, and then you've reached this point where all of a sudden, bam, you get fat.
Fathead, yeah, I'm gonna start thinking smarter. Fathead.
All right, so one tool that we use to kind of measure the insulin response to the foods we eat, and this is not like the end-all be-all in nutrition, but some people think it is. But it does kind of give us an idea of what's happening whenever we eat these foods. So the higher the glycemic index, basically, the faster it gets into your bloodstream, the sugar from the food gets into your bloodstream, and the more insulin you're going to need to get that sugar low, or back in normal range. So glycemic index is just a measure of how fast the body converts the foods we eat to glucose. Glucose is just a type of sugar. It's a type of sugar in your blood. There are a lot of different types of sugar. Sucrose is what we used to call sugar, table sugar. So pure glucose would be 100 on the glycemic index. That would be the top. The foods that humans have eaten forever, you can look at meats, nuts, and seeds, are 5 to 10. Non-starchy vegetables, that's like not including potatoes and corn and those kind of things that are starches, 15 to 20 on the glycemic index. Fruits are the highest. They have the highest in nature. They also have a whole lot of vitamins, but you can't eat fruit. Never in our history until maybe 100 years ago did we have fruit all year round. Until we were able to create these huge industrial farms and be able to grow fruit all year round, we never had it, in the winter months. So you can't ever eat this stuff, but even a fruit, fruit has a lot of really good stuff in it too. But it's the highest on the glycemic index as far as natural food. So let's look at the foods that we were told to eat. I don't know if you can see this, but basically this is grains at the bottom. That's supposed to be the largest. That's what we're supposed to eat. More than anything else, 6 to 11 servings a day, according to the USDA. Then you have fruit and vegetables here on the next level. Then a little bit of meat and almost no fat. It's pretty much what they're telling us. A lot of this came because of Nancy Keys convincing everybody that fat's going to make you have a heart attack. And what we really found is that it's grains, foods that we hadn't eaten for very long, a lot of people are gluten intolerant, which is a type of protein in grains. A lot of people get a lot of bad stuff from eating grains, and no mammal in nature eats grains. The only type of animal that can live well off of a grain-based diet is a bird, still we feed it. It's just the cheapest thing. We feed it to all our dogs. We eat it. Dog food is made out of grains. Everything we eat, pretty much on a regular basis, has some kind of grain in it. So that's what we're told to eat, though. That's what we're told is healthy, whole wheat, whole grain breads and stuff. So let's look at this. Sucrose is 64 on the glycemic index. That's table sugar. That's the white stuff. Raisin bran, which is whole grain cereal, would be 61. Shredded wheat, which is supposed to be heart healthy, it's got the little heart check logo on it, 67. And whole wheat bread is higher. These two are higher than just regular table sugar. So these things are going to spike your blood sugar faster than just regular table sugar will. What happens is then we release a lot of insulin. That stuff gets stored either in our fat cells, and eventually we become diabetic because of this. It also elevated insulin levels are linked to heart disease. All kind of bad stuff can happen because of this. So the moral of the story is we need to stay away from these foods that are spiking our blood sugar really fast. Stay back with the foods that we find in nature that kind of reflect what our body needs in the first place. So 300 grams of carbohydrates is what the USDA says we should eat. So I was doing a diet earlier last year. It's basically the diet I'm describing to you now, with you weigh and measure and try to get exactly what you need in it. And I had to eat 150 grams of carbs on that diet, and it was almost impossible eating non-starchy vegetables to get my carbohydrate. Almost impossible for me to do that. So I just went to the grocery store, took some pictures of what it would take for me to eat 300 grams of carbs in just regular vegetables. I just randomly picked up vegetables that would be non-starchy and looked at the carbohydrate content, and that's it. So this is a bag of, I think it's got broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots in it. I would eat probably half of this bag for a meal with some meat. I think it's supposed to serve 4, though. These bags are supposed to be serving me 4. So for me to get 100 grams just for one meal, I would have to eat 5 of those bags. So 20 servings of these vegetables just to get 100 grams of carbs. That would be my breakfast right there. You'd have to eat that for breakfast just to get your carbs. And then for lunch, you'd have to eat this whole basket, which is turnip greens, some carrots, some grapefruit, some romaine hearts. You have to eat all of that stuff, the whole bag. That would be your lunch. And then your supper would be this whole bag, which has salad and celery and some kale and I don't know what else in there. you have to eat that whole basket to get that would be your supper. And you would not be very happy if you eat that many vegetables in one day. So, the moral of the story is the foods that are found in nature don't have that much sugar in them. They have a lot of fat, they have a lot of protein, but they don't have a whole lot of sugar. And so, we find that our bodies don't respond very well to sugar of any kind, whether it be fructose, which is from fruit, or sucrose that we put in our, which is the white table sugar, or just the sugar that we find in breads. Anything that says carbohydrate is just sugar, basically. There are a bunch of different types of that, but that's basically what it is. So, if we can keep our carbohydrate content down, then we can control our insulin levels, control the hormonal response to our foods, and we can lose weight if that's what we need to do. We can also use fat for fuel, which is going to make performance better in the gym. When you switch from using glucose for fuel to fat for fuel, you see a whole lot better. In CrossFit, we almost always are racing against the clock or trying to lift heavier weight than last time or whatever. And so almost always your numbers will get better after a few weeks of eating this type of diet.